All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden system of power. We're talking about a logistical machine built for one reason, to make the massive problems of the ultra-elite just disappear. This is Ghost Protocol, the anatomy of a scandal fix.
Sounds like the opening scene of a thriller, right? But this is the kind of crisis that actually happens, way behind the closed doors of power. And when a problem gets this big, you don't call the police. No, you call a specialist. You call a fixer.
So, what exactly is a fixer? Well, think of them like a human firewall. Their entire job is to create a total separation between a very powerful person and the messy consequences of their actions. They don't just manage a problem, their goal is to make it as if it never even happened.
And the system they use, it has a name, Ghost Protocol. Now, it's really important to get this. This isn't just about one brilliant person improvising. No, this is a repeatable, logistical machine with very clear steps, all designed to literally erase a scandal from reality. And today, we're taking it apart piece by piece.
Okay, so step one, it always starts with the money. And to handle that, you need a specialist who's best described as a black market surgeon. See, you're not looking for someone with a fancy degree. You're looking for an expert who asks zero questions and just gets the job done, no matter how messy it is.
So you can forget everything you've seen in the movies. That briefcase full of cash in a dark alley, that's not how it works. The reality of a high-level payoff is way more subtle, way more sophisticated. It looks like a completely legitimate transaction, like a quiet tuition payment to a university, or a very expensive gift, like a Rolex. It's clean, it's quiet, and it's almost impossible to trace. So how did they actually pull it off? It's basically a three-step process. First, they create shell companies in places with super strict financial privacy laws, like Panama. Second, they use legal mailboxes to funnel the money, which adds even more layers of anonymity. And finally, the payment itself is disguised as something totally normal. The logic here, it's the exact same logic an international arms dealer uses to make a shipment of weapons look like police equipment on the paperwork. It's all about making the illegal look perfectly legal. So once the money is handled and the physical mess is contained, the battle shifts to a whole new front: information. This is phase 2, controlling the public narrative. And for this, they use what's known as the Hearst playbook. Yep, this strategy is named after the old newspaper tycoon William Randolph Hearst, the guy who pretty much invented yellow journalism. And the core idea isn't to deny a story or hide it because, let's be honest, that just makes people more curious. No, the real strategy is a lot more aggressive. The strategy is simple, and it's brilliant. You don't hide the story, you drown it in noise. You might leak a different, juicier, maybe even fake story about a rival to get the media to chase that instead. Or you just completely rebrand the situation. Like how the British royal family had a German last name during World War I. Not a great look, so they just rebranded as the House of Windsor. You create so much chaos in new information that the original story just gets lost in the static and fades away.
Okay, now we get to the most dangerous part of any fix: managing the people. We're talking about witnesses, staff, anyone who knows anything. To control this massive risk, fixers use a structure that is, believe it or not, shockingly similar to a cartel's.
This hierarchy is just ruthlessly efficient. At the very top, you've got the supreme boss, that's the fixer, and they never, ever get their hands dirty. Below them are the enforcers, a security team whose entire job is to find and neutralize leaks, and do it fast. And then on the ground level, you have the halcones, or hawks, who are the eyes and ears, monitoring every little whisper that could turn into a problem. So what happens if a leak is found? Let's say a housekeeper starts talking to a tabloid. The action is swift and it is clinical. Within 48 hours, that person is identified, they're escorted off the property with their stuff in a cardboard box, and they're handed a legally airtight non-disclosure agreement. The message could not be clear. You are replaceable, and your silence is not optional. But this whole operation, this flawless machine, it comes with a final hidden cost. This is the dark truth of the Ghost Protocol. It's the one variable in the whole equation that can never really be controlled.
Because after all the money has been moved, and all the stories have been buried, and all the witnesses have been silenced, there's one question left hanging in the air. What is the true cost of making problems disappear? And the answer has nothing to do with money.
The truth is, the fixer, they become the final liability. They know every single secret, every crime, every cover-up.
And just like a weapons dealer becomes a very expensive loose end after a war is over, the fixer simply knows too much to ever be let go. The very knowledge that makes them so powerful also makes them a permanent threat.
And that's the ultimate irony, isn't it? The master of control ends up with absolutely no control over their own life. You might think you're choosing this world for the power, for the money, but eventually, the world chooses you. You spend your life building the perfect cage for other people's problems, only to realize you're trapped inside it yourself.
So, we've just deconstructed a system that's designed to solve any problem imaginable. But in the end, it creates one final, unsolvable one. The fixer becomes the last secret that needs to be buried. It really makes you wonder, if you had that kind of money and a mess that big, knowing what the final price really is, who would you call?